Hello everyone on Redmond's Football Report again. It's been a long time we've been doing this.
It's just like 2.5 months, Redmond. Not a long time. You think about other things that people do. They do for much longer periods of time. That alone, I need you to not be tapping the technical equipment tonight. Anyway, what are we going to do?
Well, we might have first actually today. Might.
Hopefully so.
And the intro, it's a little late, but this is Daddy, and my name's Redmond. Or you can call Martin.
If I let you, don't just take that as an invitation on the streets. Well,
we're going to be talking about football normally. We talked about it a lot. And these videos are all great, basically. Watch every one. So subscribe, hit the bell and like this video.
Okay, so we're going to do our usual thing, which is one part preview, but first part results of our previous preview. So that if you're following in sequential order, this should make some sense. Here are the results of the Spanish jury. Running down through them, Esperance beat Zamalek in Egypt, which I think is a big deal in the Champions League of Africa. No shocker there in Man City beating BMG.
Both thought it would be.
Well, initially you thought it'd be 2-0, but you decided to change it because you saw what I said. Oh, did somebody get caught? Somebody got caught. Real Madrid beat Atalanta 3-1. So, yeah, Atalanta scored, but wasn't a classic Atalanta performance. Deportivo Lara held on for a 1-1 draw, which is a great result, really, when you think about it, against Santos. But Santos, unfortunately, for romantics here, go through, which is odd, because normally you'd say Santos is the romantic option. Albirex Niigata hammered Young Lions 3-0 away. I mean, away. They're all away at the moment because they're Japanese playing in Singapore. It's the S-League. And as we talked about during the show, Sparta Prague were given a forfeit 3-0 win over Paris Saint-Germain.
What did they forfeit for, though?
COVID, Redmond. Do you remember what we were talking about?
The COVID outbreak.
Yes, in the Paris Saint-Germain squad. Bayern Munich did, as I suggested, not have their easy way through Lazio, but who cares? They were already through. They win something silly like 6-1 on aggregate. Chelsea managed a 2-0 win rather more effusive than we'd expected as well, in a tense, if not exciting game. The US beat Costa Rica 1-0 in the under-23s, which puts them in a good position. In the other game in that group, by the way, it was 4-1 win for Mexico over the Dominican Republic. So we can see who are likely to be the top two in that group. In my specific picks, in the Confederation Cup of Africa, we had Raja Casablanca winning 2-0 over Ankara. And AC Milan slipped out of the Europa League, losing 1-0 to Manchester United. So those are the scores for the week.
Yes, they are.
My take on the game of the week was Independiente del Valle 6, Unión Español 2, played on Wednesday. Yeah, that was crazy. So Independiente blew 5 goals past Union in the first 30 minutes, I think it was. They really hammered them. Union had been a goal up from the first leg, and they pulled back a couple later on. But, I mean, by the time it's 5-1 on aggregate, I mean, where are you going to go? 6-2 on aggregate. Really impressive display from Del Valle in that first half. They definitely took the brakes off in the second. But they're through to the next round of qualifying for the Copa Libertadores. So we are going to press on. If you're ready, are you ready?
Yes.
You're ready. With our previews for the week ahead. And we're going to start with the game that started about 20 minutes ago. Drogeheda United against Waterford FC in the first game of the League of Ireland season. It's available to watch on Watch LOI. which unfortunately is not working for me right now, which is driving me nuts because I could be watching that on the side with somebody else. We already have a viewer in. So, running down to this Drogheda, they got promoted last year as champions, and they are now the most successful team in Ireland's second tier, having won it for the 5th time last year. Waterford won it for the 4th time back in 2017, and so these are kind of, I don't want to say the yo-yo teams, but they are the teams that have enjoyed more success in their recent history, in the last 40 years, in the second division than the first. That said, Drogheda had a great spell in the mid-2000s when they won the league, the Satanta Cup. I think they might have won the league twice, and they certainly won the league FAI Cup. Drogheda are with the same manager since 2018. The hunt for Red October, or the hunt for a successful October, was finally got there after 3 years by Tim Clancy. Yeah. Whereas Waterford have a brand new boss. Our new boss is the famous Irish international who scored against England, Kevin Sheedy. He is a legend, and he's our second Irish player from the 1990 World Cup squad to manage us. I haven't seen anything of the team yet. I've been looking forward to watching the game tonight, but it looks like that's not going to happen. The problem for teams like Waterford, more so than Drogheda, is because we are so far from the capital where most players in this country seem to stay living, and it's an uncomfortable road from Cork. We fortunately get to have a lot of our own local players. Unfortunately, we can't sort of grab somebody who's maybe out of a job because they'll go back home, which is frequently going to be Dublin. We need to get players normally who live in Waterford already, and when we do that, we do okay. Oh, I've just realised I spelled Drogheda poorly for the what would you call it, the preview thing. Anyway, Redmond, what do you think? Drogheda against Waterford.
I think Waterford with their new manager can hammer Drogheda United, literally 3-0.
3-0. I'm more circumspect. Waterford should have the better squad, having been there last year, but there's a lot of turnover. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. Optimistic. Why shouldn't I be optimistic? It's first day. The next game coming up chronologically is also our next game coming up in terms of preview, and that is tomorrow morning at 6:35 Central European time. It's not in Central Europe. It is Sydney FC's women playing Melbourne Victory's women in the W League in Australia. So this is first against third, 4 points between the two teams. Brisbane in between the two. Both these teams have played 11 games. Brisbane have played 12. Please leave that alone. So they've got one game more played. Brisbane are at 22 points. Sydney are at 24, and Melbourne Victory are at 20. I think it's 20. Yeah, so it is really going down to the wire on the playoffs. It's a lot tighter than I expected, considering that Sydney won all their games for quite a while. And it's they've sort of lost steam lately. They've lost 2 of their last 4 games. And funnily enough, the 2 games that Sydney FC have lost have been the 2 games we have covered on Redmond's Football Report. Sit up in the middle so people can see you. So maybe we're a jinx. I don't know. You'll figure out why I'm putting my money on after this. Mel V, as I like to call them, or Melbourne Victory, haven't lost since the 22nd of January when they had a 6-0 defeat at Brisbane. So the other two teams in the 5-horse race for it, as far as I'm concerned, there's 4 points back from Canberra in 5th at 18 points and Adelaide at 19 points. So it is very much all to play for. It's very hard to see. I don't think it's possible that Sydney could lose out on it at this stage. But they could. Anybody could. There's about 4 games left. But it does feel like it's down to these 5 teams.
And if they get hammered like 9-0 in the first game, then 9-0 again.
Yeah. So let's move on to our predictions. Leave that alone, please. I've asked you not to fiddle with the pens. Redmond, your prediction for Sydney FC women against Melbourne Victories women?
I think Cindy can beat them 2-0.
But could Sydney beat them 2-0? Sydney, not Cindy.
Sydney wins
Yeah.
against Melbourne
2-0.
Victory.
Okay, there's a
2-0.
good eat of time. I'm going to actually go with our jinx, and I'm going to say that Melbourne Victory come away with an away win of a 3-1 calibre, just because. In the vague area, but so staying in the AFC, the Asian Football Confederation, we're going to Thailand again. Haven't been back there in a while. BG Pathum United are playing Ratchaburi. We talked about Ratchaburi once before. We're not going to talk about them very much right now because BG Pathum United have 2 games remaining in the league. They are something like, oh God, what is it? It's like 15 points clear. They're on 74 points compared to 6th place Ratchaburi, who are on 45. And it's 17 points between first and second. The big question, isn't really, is this going to be any good a game? Ratchaburi are probably the last team that we've seen who can possibly stop Pathum from getting an invincible season. They've played 28, won 26, drawn 2, only conceded 12 goals. Their last 2 draws, though, are in their last 4 games. And while, honestly, in theory, Muang Thong United are a potential banana skin for them in the last game, away, realistically, I can't see them winning. They look poor enough at the moment. 2 games to stop them from winning everything out. Redmond, what do you think is going to happen? BG Pathum United against Ratchaburi.
0.
Okay, you've gotten the attention you wanted for a moment. 2-0 to Pathum. I'd like to see Ratchaburi stop them, odd as it may sound. I don't like invincible seasons.
Why?
I just don't. I don't know why. Unless it's one of my teams, obviously. I think it's going to go Pathum's way. Next up, moving across the water further to South Africa. I was in 2 minds going with South Africa and going with North Africa in the short form of the Batola in Morocco, where Wydad Raja Casablanca play each other in the big Casablancan derby. But we talked about Raja during the week, and we haven't talked about Mamelodi Sundowns for a while, particularly as they're playing Black Leopards. Now, there's some interesting stuff with this. This game is feeling like a walkover, to be honest. It's first against bottom, top against bottom. Mamelodi Sundowns up at 39 points, having won 39 points playing off against a team with only 12. Mamelodi have 2 games in hand, and so it's a plus 20 goal difference against a minus 19 goal difference. So that tells you plenty. Mamelodi have a 4-point gap on second, third, and fourth. Second is Lamontville Golden Arrows, who Mamelodi have 2 games in hand on. Third place is Supersport, who they have 4 games in hand on. And fourth place is Orlando Pirates, who they've got 3 games in hand on. They've got a minimum of potentially 6 points of a gap to add to the 4 points they're on against second, third, and fourth. And games in hand on all of them. So it's looking like another easy season for Mamelodi. Looking at Black Leopards, in 19 games, they've lost 13 of them. They're 2 points behind Maritzburg, who have a game in hand and much better goal difference in the playoff places. And I think they have another 2 points ahead on the team ahead. Now, it's an interesting season for them because they've not been doing terribly prior to this season, but they're no longer their only team in their hometown of, apologies for the pronunciation here, Thohoyandou. Because a team called TTMFC, or let's try this, Chakuma Tsa Madziv Handila. Sakuma Shah Madziv Handila. Sorry, folks. Anyway, they're one of 2 teams this season that bought their way into the league. They just bought out the league status of another club. In this case, it was Bidvest Wits from Johannesburg. So they moved the actual league place north to play in the same stadium as our friends at Black Leopards. And I'd love to know how they're doing numbers wise. I'm getting old. Sorry?
I'm hearing Fergus out
Well, if Fergus is out there, he's more than welcome in. Or not, as the case may be. Anyway, Redmond, Mamelodi Sundowns against Black Leopards. What do you think is going to be?
0-0. 0-0.
Thank you for that obtuse way of saying it. 4-0 to Sundowns. They're on a tear. Let's jump forward. Let's keep jumping forward in the timeline where the last game's on Sunday and this game's on Sunday too. All the details, including the times in the Central European time, are listed on the YouTube page. Last week we talked about Olympique Lyonnais against Paris Saint-Germain in the women, but the game didn't happen. Today we're talking about Olympique Lyonnais against Paris Saint-Germain in the men. And we have both teams, it's third against second. Both teams are on 60 points though, and 3 points behind Lille after 29 games out of the 38 they'll be playing. Paris Saint-Germain lost 2 of their last 4 games to Monaco and Nantes, both at home, bizarrely. Where similarly, Olympique Lyon lost to Montpellier, playing at home as well. But they have, as you can imagine, a better last 5 games in the league. Olympique Lyonnais were off for the week, but Paris Saint-Germain played midweek for the second week, if not fourth week running. And they playing against Lille in the Coupe de France on Wednesday. So they've got a game in their legs during the week, which may not help at the moment, especially if there's been an outbreak in Paris Saint-Germain's women's team. You've got to be a little bit nervous. But they beat Lille, which would have been a tough game.
Why would it be a little nervous?
Of getting COVID?
Yeah.
Why you wouldn't be nervous of catching COVID?
Well, I am old.
A little. You don't need to be scared of it, but you don't want to get it. Same as the